knock on the door. I start flushing this paper money. I put probably $2,000 in the toilet and flush it. I go to put another few thousand in the toilet, but I guess they shut the water off. So this one guy in particular, I came, at one point I did rent a little house. I had roommates and we were staying in the house for a couple months. But so at that point,
where's the wife at this point?
She's with me. I mean, we're traveling around, with the kids in the hotels and shopping. That was my job, was to, basically wake up in the morning,
go spend money,
print, make, say $2,500, go shopping, spend it all, get real money, get a hotel room, tape paper to do the printing part, because the Bible paper is too thin. So you'd have to tape it on a regular piece of printer paper to feed it through. So I'd sit there all night taping Bible paper, have a stack like this for the next morning to print them and then go shopping. And it was just, every day was it was like a job, it was constantly
just
working on it.
Just a lucrative.
Well, you're making money. That was the whole goal. You know what I mean? Like I do selling drugs, doing all this stuff to make money. It's like really just cut out the middleman. That was my thinking. You know what I mean? If I can find the way to make legitimately good money that passed every time, there's no point in not doing that in my eyes. But so this one guy went home and he was standing in my driveway.
I was gonna say the people you were clipping too are drug dealers. So even if they get caught with the money, it's not like it's fucking a little old lady or anything,
And most drug dealers think that counterfeit. Like I've had a few that found out, and I'm like, well, do you still want to start buying them from me? And they, I don't fuck with counterfeit. That's serious. And I'm like, you're
selling heroin.
You're selling heroin.
Yeah. Well,
I got a year in the feds for counterfeit and hundreds of thousands of dollars. You're trafficking heroin interstate with guns on you, and you're worried about counterfeiting.
Well, he just hadn't got caught by the right people yet.
Once you get 15 years for armed heroin conspiracy,
every counterfeiter, every counterfeiter I ever met in prison they were always like the second or third time. Like they were getting like 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. And it's his third time he doing it. And he got like 5 years. It's like, fuck.
Yeah, they say the recidivism rate of counterfeiting is higher than a heroin addict.
Yeah, but listen, one of the highest recidivism rates is fraud. And that probably, they're saying that probably falls within the fraud department. Yeah. Higher than drug dealers. Mm-hmm. But I believe it. So the guy, you said one time you had moved into a place and the guy...
I pulled in the driveway and he was standing in my driveway.
And this is like a drug
guy
dealer
that I've been ripping off every day for 2 months. And so I'm thinking like, oh, fuck.
Right.
This is going to be a problem. You know what I mean? But I was buying the heroin through this girl that was a roommate. So like I'd go up to people, like I was buying stuff from drug dealers. All the addicts I knew, I'd be like, hey, help me set up your drug dealer and we'll split it, because that way it doesn't fall on me. So in this case, I was doing that with this girl, but we were living together. So when it fell on her, I was still there. But basically I overheard him saying like, I'm not mad. I just want to find out where you were getting these from. So I like heard that. I just walk in the house, the next day I go up to her. I'm like, give me that dude's number. So I call him and I'm like, I'm the guy you're looking for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's meet up and we can talk in person. So I meet up with him. And of course, all these drug dealers, when they do find out the bills are fake, they're like, I want $2 million worth in a week.
Yeah. Okay.
And they don't realize, like, I'm not just photocopying these. Each one, you're cutting them out, spraying.
This is labor intensive. It's
exactly. I mean, it takes probably 10. I mean, I got it down to where I could make $100 bill in probably 10 minutes.
Right.
But still, I mean, if you factor $1 million worth, that's going to take months of cutting, spraying,
you're paying your bills. You still have to pay your bills. You still have to, and in the end, how are you going to move $1 million?
Well, and that's the other thing. Like I tried to keep everything under 10,000 because that's the other thing. I was printing the 96 series 100. So I figured it'd be kind of weird to go buy, 4 kilos of heroin with all 96 series hundreds, you know what I mean? That would kind of cause suspicion, you know what I mean?
Well, plus there's, you have to acquire you have to acquire the paper, you have to acquire, I mean, it's just very labor intensive.
Yeah, it said in my paperwork that, that was the issue. I mean, obviously the paper, you know what I mean? I'd make a road trip to, say, Chattanooga, hit up 4 different bookstores, Walmarts, get all the Bible paper in the whole fucking city, and it'd be enough to make $100,000 worth, but, you know, then you have to make it, spend it, you know what I mean? So it was a constant, like I said, it was a job. Like, you'd go to one city, collect the Bible paper in a couple days, then spend the next couple days, you know, printing and making bills, and then the next couple days shopping. So I'd go to different cities for a week at a time to, you know, acquire the materials, make them, and then pass them.
So with a guy, he wanted $1 million.
Oh, yeah. I was like, man, it doesn't work like that. I was like, you know, if you want, say, when you're going to Cleveland to re-up, I'll sell you 10 grand for 2,500. You know what I mean? So he started doing that, you know, and he'd have his real cash in there too, but he was getting a discount on his heroin because, you know, basically 10 or 15 of the $1,000 he was buying at a 25% rate. So,
right.
But eventually that guy specifically was the one that set me up, and he got, so one time he was supposed to go up to Cleveland, and I was supposed to go with him. So like, he was going to re-up and I was going to, you know, bust bills. I would go around shopping. And I ended up getting arrested on, I think it was like a failure to appear, some little petty thing. I went to jail, like bonded out the next day. But in that time, I guess he just went to Cleveland without me. So I got out, and one of his little runner girls that was selling dope for him told me, like, she said, you know, he told me not to tell anybody, but he's in jail up in Cleveland. So I was like, he told you not to tell anybody?
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and that's, yeah, towards that part, we ended up renting a house together as well. And he was selling dope. He was like the trap house with me in the back room with ventilation fans,
right,
blowing lacquer out the windows and making money. So I went to that house. She informed me he's in jail up in Cleveland. He told me not to tell you. Right. I was like, he told, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm getting my stuff and getting the fuck out of here then. So, you know, we get all the printers, computers, ventilation fans, all this stuff, and go get a hotel room. And, you know, there's a lot of information you find out in discovery. So, like, at the time, I was just thinking, okay, he's probably cooperating.
Right. So I got to be gone. I need to get out of here.
Yeah.
Stop talking to him.
So, like, 2 days later, I'm in this hotel, and he calls me. And he's like, hey, man, I got that Bible paper. Let's meet up. And I was like, nah, man.
No, the first thing he should have said was, bro, I got arrested.
The first thing. That's the first thing you say, is because, you know, you don't want people assuming that you're cooperating.
Yeah.
You know?
And the moment you don't mention that as being a major issue.
Exactly. I'm no dummy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've been doing this a minute. So basically, he's like, oh, let's meet up. I got this Bible paper. And I was like, no. I was like, I'm just going to live out of hotels for a while again. I think our relationship is over. You know what I mean? And he was like, why? What do you mean? You know? And I was like, first of all, you're acting fucking sketchy, bro. Like, you got arrested. You didn't tell me. I'm like, what are you doing, bro? I'm like, even if you didn't cooperate in reality, I still don't trust you anymore. You know, we're done. So, and he gave me this story like, yeah, I did get arrested. But they didn't find anything. It was because he had a stolen car. He bought a car with a title. It ended up being stolen. And I knew that. Like, I told him, he was like, I bought this 2010 Charger for $500 in an 8-ball. Right. I'm like, bro, that's stolen. Obviously stolen. He's like, I've got the title. It's not. We're good. I'm like, whatever, bro. It's stolen. I guarantee you bought it from some junkies for $500, bro. It's stolen. So he was saying, that car was stolen. He was like, you were right, man. That car was stolen. He's like, but that's the only reason I got arrested. So I had to use that money the money I was going to re-up with to bond out. And so I couldn't re-up. So I'm back in Knoxville. Let's meet up. And I was like, no, again, I'm like, bro, it's not happening. You know what I mean? He was like, well, he was trying to get me to get him a kilo of heroin through some other people I knew. And he knows I don't like. I mean, I dibble and dab with drugs, you know.
Yeah, but I wasn't.
I'm not selling kilos on the phone. He's like, get me, 700 grams of heroin. I'm like, on the phone. I'm like, what are you doing, bro? So, needless to say, I just hung up once he asked for that. I was like, man, you're out of your mind. And I specifically was like, the feds are listening. Right?
Yeah.
So I was like, you're the drug dealer. Why are you asking me for drugs? You are the drug dealer. I'm just some junkie. Remember? So bye. Hang up the phone. And, well, sure enough, they GPS pinged my phone to the location of where the hotel was. And just even talking to him is what led to my arrest.
Nice. So what happened? How they grab you? They come and knock on the door real lightly and ask you to please come outside. And
well,
can you meet us at the station?
Well,
at your convenience.
So I was staying in a hotel room with my wife at the time and this other chick, Dylan, who was selling drugs for these Detroit people. But anyway, so we woke up in the morning and I was gonna, start printing. I think one of the Detroit guys wanted like $6,000, I think, or something. He put in like an order, so I was gonna make $6,000. They went shopping. So that, I'm in there, I start, cutting paper, spraying, printing, all this. My wife and Dylan leave to go shopping. That's all I know. About 15 minutes later, I get a knock on the door. So I look through the peephole and it's just black. Somebody's put. So my first instinct was like, oh, that, the Detroit people that are selling dope out of this room, somebody's probably trying to rob them or something. Because I was thinking the police would just kick down the door. Like, I didn't think they'd put a thumb over it. So I was like, go away. Nobody's here. You know what I mean? And I knock again. Look, black thumb over the peephole. Look out the window and I see just a line of Knox County sheriffs. I was like, that's it, bro. You know what I mean? So I start trying to flush this paper money. And I didn't, at the time, I was in the process of making it. So it was all one-sided. I hadn't glued it together yet. So technically that's not illegal because you're allowed to print money as long as it's black and white. What was it? 50% smaller, 150% bigger, black and white, or one-sided. So you can print money all day long as it's one-sided. So,
yeah, but they have the other bills. Well, they have. Yeah.
The problem was the computer, because all my bills had different serial numbers. So each file on this computer that could then link me to every serial number that I produced. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which was the evidence that it wasn't. I didn't get possession of anything, but they got a laptop with. Yeah. All the files that could link me to every bill that I.
It's fun. It's all those little tiny things that you're thinking. Well, technically, this and bro, you don't want to go to trial on technically.
Oh no, definitely.
Yeah. You're just
I wouldn't go to trial with the feds.
I wouldn't go to trial with the feds if I was innocent.
Yeah.
I always say, look, if they came in right now, the DEA arrested me right now and said, hey, we got you selling 4 fucking kilos of coke, I'd be like, well, can I get a deal?
Yeah,
like what? Because I know you're gonna prove it. You're gonna be able to prove it.
If they can't prove it, they're gonna get somebody to say it.
That's what I'm saying. Like even if I've never even seen it, I know that at trial you can prove this somehow. You already think that's how you got the indictment. I know I'm done. Mm-hmm. That's just the state. People don't even realize that's really where you live.
Yeah, well, the feds don't. Yeah, like you said, the feds don't even indict you unless they've got it. Yeah, that's why like in my case, I had state charges knock on the door. I start flushing this paper money. I put probably $2,000 in the toilet and flush it. I go to put another few thousand in the toilet, but I guess they shut the water off.
Yeah, they're not stupid.
So see, because like when dude asked me for that like 700 grams of heroin or whatever, they were assuming there was drug task force there. They were assuming like there's kilos of dope in this hotel room. So there was organized crime unit, drug task force, Cleveland Secret Service, Knoxville Secret Service, KPD. So so all these bills are just in the toilet now. They won't flush. So
that doesn't look suspicious at all.
And then at that point, they start kicking the door in, which, it's like steel reinforced doors caused a fucking panic attack. Cause it's like, I was hoping they'd just kick it in, get it over with, arrest me. They're sitting there, boom, 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 for like 5 minutes. And you're in a hotel room. What the fuck do you do?
Yeah, there's no back door.
I just sit down, light a cigarette, wait for them to come in. And, obviously they throw me down, all that good stuff. But So they arrested me on state charges for the first like 3-4 months of criminal simulation is what the state charge was until the feds could.
Simulation of what? Money?
Criminal simulation is the charge. Yeah.
That's okay.
Well, it's basically just their generic. I mean, you can get criminal simulation. I think it's just it's like a state charge that's generic for like fraud, basically.
Oh, okay.
You know, but yeah, it was. Like,
I've never heard that. That's all.
You never heard that?
No, listen, bro. Every state has different.
Yeah. But you know, so I think the original charge was like criminal simulation over 60,000 or something, and then 3 months later you go to court. The state's gonna drop your charges.
Yay!
Great. I already knew it was coming. So, but then of course they'd take me across the street to the federal building, serve me an indictment.
I always love the guys that they actually let them out. They actually like walk out and
make a mistake. Yeah, give them hope. Let them into the lobby, and
they're free for like a good 30 seconds, and they're like, "Hi, I'm so and so from the marshal's office."
I already knew. I had a bond source hearing on my charges, which you know what that is like. If you're gonna bond out,
where the money come from?
Yeah, you got to prove it's legitimate and all this, which I already knew. That's like a sign the feds are gonna indict you, because that basically you can't just bond out and get out. You've got to supply the money, and then they set up a court date in a week so you can prove it. So it gives the feds a week's head start to serve you the indictment if you do try and bond out. So, but that was it. They let me out on pretrial for a little bit and sentenced me to 10 months.
Right. Well, you got 10 months, but you said that at some point the Secret Service, they came to you, they wanted to give you more time. Like initially you were supposed to get more time, but the
original guidelines was I think it was like 24 to 36 or something, like 2 to 3 years.
Right.
And so the Secret Service basically came to me. Well, let's go back. The dude E that set me up.
Right.
Once I got arrested there, they let him go as an informant.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then he disappeared. So he was on the run, because like it's complicated, but like the Cleveland Secret Service,
which could be good for you.
It's great. Yeah. Fuck him.
Because now you got nobody to connect me with any of this shit, and he can't get on a stand and prove it. If you were to go to trial,
they got the laptop with the evidence was in my possession.
Yeah. Okay.
But
it still weakens their case.
Slightly. Yeah. But also like, so he went on the run. Like basically he cooperated, got me arrested, and then he disappeared. And then like, I guess that I was incarcerated at this point, but I heard that maybe 2-3 months later, he was in Knoxville again, accidentally fired a gun in his apartment. The KPD went in there.
Accidentally. I always love accidentally.
They're fucking idiot, man.
Hello, audience. My name is Juan Sanchez, and I'm coming to you pleading to help me help Matt with this new experimental treatment. What they will do is they will break his legs and insert an additional foot so he can reach the counters in his house. For that, we have started a Patreon account, okay, with 3 tiers. Tier number 1, he will give you a thank you card the moment he's able to walk again. Tier number 2, he will give you access to all the footage 2 weeks prior to being released, and you will get the full videos, so you don't have to watch it in 17 parts the way he likes to do it. Tier number 3 is you will get one of these paintings every month, a different painting. There are collectibles 1 out of 10. Eventually, he will make them bigger when he's actually taller, but right now, they're just a representation of his size. So please, help me help him be tall. Thank you.
KPD arrested him after all this. He wanted to be an informant for KPD, Knoxville Police Department. So
he's a professional now.
Yeah, apparently. So KPD is excited. Obviously, it's like a multi-kilo dealer willing to cooperate. So they let him go again. Of course, he goes on the run again. He just makes promises to the police, tries to disappear, which I don't blame him. Whatever. But so he was on the run. So when the Secret Service came to me, they were like, listen, this guy that set you up, your co-defendant, he was a co-conspirator on my case. They were like, he's on the run now. We're trying to get him. So when he cooperated, the Cleveland Secret Service promised, you get us this guy, we won't press charges on you for the counterfeit. He does that, but then he takes them to Knoxville. So then the Eastern District of Tennessee just indicted him So it was just like he got a deal from the Cleveland Secret Service, but then the Knoxville Secret Service, you know. So anyway, he was a co-defendant on my case. And, you know, the Secret Service basically said, you know, we'll give you cooperation credit if you show us how you made these bills, you know, and confirm everything he already told us. Make a training video for the Secret Service for future agents, you know, explain, go through all the evidence and show them.
Yeah, they have to be experts on bills. So the best way to be an expert is figure out exactly how these bills are being made so that you can detect them and see. So, I mean, they need that.
And they wanted, you know, to know certain things to look out for and this and that. So, I mean, the Secret Service said that the bills I was making were the best they've seen in like 25 years.
Nice.
So they, you know, said make a training video for future agents and we'll give you a cooperation credit. So that along with, you know, like admitting guilty.
Yeah.
You know,
timely
admitting
plea,
fault or whatever it is.
Timely plea and acceptance of responsibility.
Yeah. So they basically said, if you plead guilty today, we'll keep, you know, plead guilty today and make this training video, confirm everything he told us already, you know, plead guilty. We'll keep the amount under $100,000, which avoids an enhancement because anything over $100,000 is an enhancement. So they it was like 96,000 or whatever. They kept it just under 100,000. And they wouldn't charge my wife with anything. So all her charges would be dropped. And, you know, with looking at like 2 to 3 years with the cooperation and that enhancement gone, I'd only be looking at like a year. So of course I fucking took that, you know what I mean? I think they said at that time, they were like, we found $380,000 in Knoxville. You were still finding about 10 grand a week. It's coming in through the banks and this and that. So, you know, with that time, I don't know how much time I would have been looking at. It probably would have been 4 years because that's another enhancement and all this.
Yeah,
but
that's 4 years if you plead guilty. Like I know guys, if you go to trial, they'll start stacking the charges.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I mean, yeah, that was an offer I could not refuse. You know, don't charge my wife, keep it at 100,000. Now I owe 100,000 or 96,000 in restitution, but you know.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
So, all right. And now you're out.
I'm 3 years
starting over.
Fed paper. Yeah, I just got out. I was in Lexington. Got out like 3 months ago. Currently in a sober living house in Knoxville.
What are you doing for work now?
Well, I'm a printer.
Nice.
I work at a print shop, a vinyl shop, you know. It's called Graphical Warehouse. You know, they're good people there. I really got lucky landing that job. I was honest with them in the interview. I told them like I just got out of prison. I was counterfeiting.
Yeah, well, that's a plus for them.
Well, it's experience, you know.
I was gonna say I wrote a book called Bent about a guy that's he was counterfeiting plastic for the Russian mob. Yeah. And same thing. All his stuff was graphic designs. He was always he's always worked for print shops, and you know, that's just what you like doing. You know,
I mean, I think it's tempting for people who work, you know, when you're around printers and you know graphic design. There's so many things, you know, like if you're capable of fraudulently making, you know, birth certificates, money, anything,
your mind's gonna jump to that.
I mean,
it's I could
tempting.
use this for this. I could use this for this.
For sure.
You know.
For sure. And the amount of money you can make is unlimited, really, if you do it right. So it's definitely tempting.
It's too good out here. You know what I'm saying? You go to prison for a year or two and you're just like, you know, what am I doing? Like, I'm not going to live like this the rest of my life. I'd rather live in a fucking somebody's spare room and be able to turn the channel when I want and have a fucking cell phone. And, you know,
when I was doing that was the most stressful time of my life. Obviously, I think I'm making U-turns everywhere thinking I'm being followed. You know what I mean? I knew there were bolos out. There's a couple like pictures that were released on Knoxville websites. Like, well, we're looking for this guy for passing $100 bills. You know, you're always on the run thinking you're wanted, you know.
You're living out of hotel rooms.
Dealing with fucking scumbag drug dealers all the time.
Right.
You know.
And in the end, when you walk back out of prison years later, where's all that money?
Yeah.
Like you don't have any of that money.
Yeah.
Like it's not, I mean, in my opinion, even what I was doing, it's just not fucking worth it.
Plus you owe it all back to them on top of that.
Yeah. So they strip everything from you anyway.
For sure.
Now you start off and it's not the way to go. But, all right. I appreciate you watching the videos.